So I want to give you kind of an overview of the tools of Lean. There's a lot of different names for it. Some say Six Sigma, some say TQM, some say TPS. I call it Lean. I grew up with Lean Six Sigma. I'm going to give you a very, very quick overview. All right, I promise it will be painless. None of you have gotten up yet, which is a good sign. So just stay with me. At its heart, Lean is about eliminating waste. All right, this is what's flowing in your organization right now. Ugh. Unless some of you work in waste management, in which case this is great. That's money. It's about finding and eliminating waste. So how do we define waste? Waste is anything that you wouldn't pay for if it was on an invoice. If you are, let's say, a recruiter, and you've got a manager that says, I need to hire a new mechanical engineer, what are you going to do to fulfill that request that they would pay for? Well, there's some things we call value added. Fitting up the parameters of the job, doing interviews, reading resumes. That's work the manager's going to expect you to do. That's value you add to this organization, things that you have specialty in, right? Managers love that. Put that on an invoice, give them to, they will pay it all day long. There's non-value added activity, things that you do that take time, that cost money, that they would not pay for. Things like waiting. What's happening on the job? Well, we're waiting. We're going to wait. Do a little more waiting. Things like getting approvals. There's a brilliant man, Dr. Edward Deming, that talked about approvals are always waste. There is never, ever a time where approval is okay in your process. Because if I have to get an approval, that means I've somehow built this system that doesn't allow people to work within parameters, allows them to go outside. For example, if I've got an ATS and I've got a job code, and the job code says I can pay between, let's say, $50,000 and $70,000 for a job. If my sourcers are making an offer between $50,000 and $70,000, why on earth do they need an approval? I've already set all that in the system. But if your system allows them to go outside those areas, that's why you have an approval, to make sure people are staying in those parameters, right? That's a bad system. Deming will tell you that people do not fail, systems fail. Systems allow people to go outside the bounds, right? It's waste, always waste. Forms. Oh, doctor, do we love forms in HR? Who has spent time in the last, let's say, month building a form of any kind? Yeah. I keep my hand up because I've done it too, right? That's how we're conditioned. Forms build value, kind of. Forms are waste, right? Especially if they're on paper and you're mailing them inter-office mail instead of doing things electronically. So to identify the 8 wastes, and there's 8 of them, I've got this little mnemonic device I'm going to share with you. It's Tim Would You. You might want to write this down. I love saying that because then suddenly there's hands that move. If I tell you it's worth writing down, then suddenly people write it down. That's power. So there's 8 wastes. The first 3, and these are not in a particular order, they just make sense to remember. Transportation, inventory, we talked about that one, and movement. So me moving around, me moving stuff around, or just having a lot of stuff at the ready. Waiting, we talked about that one a little bit. Overproduction and overprocessing, which we'll come back to, and defects. Anything is broken is waste. Overproduction is when I make too much. Overprocessing is when I make it beyond the specifications of the customer. I need 3 candidates for electrical engineering jobs that have a bachelor's degree. Fabulous. I've got you 15 candidates with master's degrees. That's neither what I asked for nor how many I need. I've given you way more than you need. So now, as a manager, I have to sort through 15 candidates when I ask for 3. And I'm looking at master's degrees when I ask for bachelor's, which means I'm probably going to have to overpay them, which means now I have to go back and negotiate all that. Right? A lot of times we think we're doing a good thing because we've got great candidates we're bringing in. Sometimes I really just need that bachelor's degree because it's an entry-level job. Right? And the final one on here, my favorite, underused people. One of the things we talk about is going to the Gemba. You'll hear that again later. Gemba is where work gets done. The people who know the job best are the ones who do it. Not talking to those people, not opening it up so they can talk back to you, is one of the greatest crimes in our organizations today. And we're going to talk a little about how to get that feedback. Okay? Everybody got this? Yes. Excellent.